we enjoy the Sabbath, and now we have the opportunity to learn a little bit more, and hopefully you get your pen on you, pen, paper, because you will need to take notes. Okay. And that's just so important and crucial for you. If you're good with your phone and taking notes on your phone, you can get like a note and take pictures of what it is here. We might have a time for questions at the end. If you're online and you want to make your questions, you might need to text me so I can ask your questions here, okay? So, should I pray? Should we pray together? Yes? Please stand, and we'll pray. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessings of the Sabbath. We rest in you, and we have the pleasure to be in your presence. What a blessing is learning how to take care of our body so we can have a wonderful temple for you, Holy Spirit, living in. And now, as we start this, we want to ask your Holy Spirit to guide Ramon's mouth, thoughts, and everything that we learned today we can use for your glory. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful for the meal today. It was really good. Thank you for all the people that provided the meal, and also thankful that we have water falling down, not snow. You know, where I come from, it comes as snow, not as this water. So that's great. And I'm also thankful for my wife, that she coaches me in so many ways that I appreciate you, Lily, for that. And today we're gonna this part is gonna be about making things practical. I gave you a lot of information this morning. We're just gonna put it, what we can do about it. Okay. I'm just gonna start with some principles first, some healing principles that are very simple, very, very foundational. Once you have them, it clicks. If I do this, then I can regain my health, or not just me, but every time I'm talking, I'm always pointing at the people in your community, the people around you. There's a need. For example, if I have a person that I'm interested to teach them about how God has changed my life, but they suffer from headaches all the time, it's really hard for them to focus on what you're telling them. It doesn't go through. So there's some things that we need to kind of learn for ourselves so we can help others that are in need, and that's always my goal. So I'm going to start with some principles. There's some determinants that some things that determine our health. Let me just go with the other one here. Let's see. I have to do here. So a second. Just give me a minute here. I'm trying to get the today the laptop doesn't want to. Let's see. Okay, I got it. Thank you. I got it. So there's some determinants of health, and there's three main determinants for your health. There's probably more, but let's summarize it in three. Three things that are factors that influence a healthy person. And the first is your genetics. Okay, your genetics. And basically your genetics it's what your predisposition to certain things. For example, my height, color of my hair, maybe how my organs work, how things work. There's some influence of my genetics, right? Now, the other determinants of health is the environment. Now, the environment has two main components. One is the macro environment, which is, everything around you, like the air quality or water quality. You know, some people talk about organic foods or non-organic foods, and all that stuff comes into the environment. And this is one determinant of health. It's very powerful too, just as genetics. And also it's your microenvironment, which is the people you're surrounded with. And those are a big determinant. There's people that have issues because, you know, their spouses or children or people around them are not in the same journey. They don't see things the same way. So one wants to do something healthy, the other one doesn't want to do the healthy thing. And it just causes a lot of issues there because say, you know what, I give up. I just give up on trying something. So your environment is very powerful, and that's your determinant health. And the other one is your lifestyle. Now, your lifestyle, it's basically what you do, when you do it, and how you do it. Now, from all those three determinants, which one do you have the most control over? Your lifestyle, right? What you do and how you do it, you have a lot of control. What I want to tell you is that these three determinants always are at play at the same time. You cannot say that my genetics are the only cause for a problem, because that means you don't have an environment around you and you don't do anything. But basically we have the three determinants always at play. Let me just give you an example, a personal example. My brother-in-law, a special man, really, very successful man, and he lived here in Florida, and then he moved, and he was managing a big company which made heart devices, and probably one of the top heart devices company in the world. And he had some of the manufacturing division. And he one Christmas, he threw a Christmas party for the company. It was during work, so they had a lunch. They were just having a Christmas lunch and some activities, some music and stuff like that. And he ate some of the food that they had, and then he went back to work. And around 30 minutes later that happened, he had a fatal heart attack, and he died in the office. The question comes to mind, why? What was the problem here? Why did it happen? Most we tend to be a little bit more politically correct nowadays, but typically we think maybe his visceral fat was big, was high visceral fat. Or maybe this, or maybe that, right? You start thinking that, it's a very crushing, devastating, event in the life of the family, and you're trying to get answers to that. And I could tell you, yes, his visceral fat was high, but he was trying to make a little bit of changes. He became vegetarian, so he changed that. And he was trying to do a little bit of exercise as he could. Now, another data point that I want to give you is that a coworker, friend of his, by the way, he passed away at the age of 47. Okay, I'm 51. So a coworker took the position, and 6 months later, the same thing happened to the coworker. 6 months later, at the age of 36. Okay, so it's like, wow. So now you have two data points. The second one is it's a heart device company, for crying out loud. I mean, so they scrambled and they had to change the structure of the company because they saw that it was, the environment was very stressful. So they had to regroup and do things differently. Now, just to give you another data point, for my brother-in-law, his father passed away also of a fatal heart attack at the age of 42, and his grandfather also, around that age, also had a major heart attack. So what I want to tell you is that whenever you see health, you're going to see these three components always at play: genetics, environment, and lifestyle. The three of them, always, always together. So now that's a good thing in a way because you could be empowered now. You could be empowered thinking, wait a second, I have control over my lifestyle. So maybe if I have control over my lifestyle, I can actually, change what is called epigenetics, which is the expression of the genes is mediated by your environment and your lifestyle. So you could actually get empowered with one thing at least that you have control. Let's say if you have a stressful life, you are lucky that you moved to Ocala, which is less stressful than other places, like New York or Chicago or other places. So that's you're lucky in that sense, or well, you already planned it out that way. So that's great. That's a blessing. But not everyone can do that. I mean, other people might have children, that they just say, I can't move to a place that is not as stressful, or, they're cheaper prices, but they're probably not the same job opportunities. It's not the same for everyone. So it's hard to control your environment. There's a little bit of control. Your genetics, but your lifestyle, you have full control over it. Now, at the end of this, I know it's hard, but what I want to think about is, how do I become an expert on anything? How do I become an expert? I want to just start there. How do I become an expert? I want you to become an expert on health. How do I become an expert on health? For example, let's say I want to become an expert on playing the guitar, okay? If I want to become an expert on playing the guitar, what do I need to do? Let's put this hypothetical that I won't go to school for 10 years. 10 years, I study for 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day for 10 years, about every single note, every single thing there is about becoming an expert on the guitar, but I never pick up the guitar. Is there an opportunity for me to become an expert? No, wait. Before you answer, let's think about this. 10 years, 8 hours a day. Look at all the film, all the videos, all the lectures, the best players in the world. I listen, my ear gets tuned to all the notes, but I never pick up the guitar. Can I become an expert? You still say no. No, okay. So what you're saying is that, to become an expert, information is important, but it's not the only thing, right? So what I'm doing here, I'm giving you information. So this is not health, right? But what happens if I get some instructions on how the chords, how they sound, all these things, but I practice for 10 years, 8 hours a day. Do I have a higher probability of becoming an expert? So you're saying that practice is important to become an expert. Now, I want to challenge you with that same information. I would love for you to become an expert on health. And the reason becoming an expert on health is fantastic is because nobody can take that away from you, by the way. Because health is basically an experience. You would know when you're healthy. Like that child over there that's coming down. What's your name? What? Jaciel. He's an expert on health. You could see, look how he walks. You see? He's not walking like you or me walk, right? We walk like this. And in the process, we're feeling our bones and our joints. He's walking like this. That there is the metric, the unit of health is that energy. If you have that energy, that is the metric of her. But if I need to get that energy, I need a cup of coffee or I need something just to keep me alive and energized, that means that I might be lacking health, okay? So if in the morning you don't have the desire to get up and conquer the world and the energy that he wakes up with, and his parents can probably tell you, I'm assuming, that's just what we're going to do now. What's next? If that's not part of your life, then maybe we need to look at our health and see, wait a second. So Now, imagine if Google, that gives you a lot of information. Now, you could Google anything nowadays. It gives you the information. Let's say you have a problem. Let's say you have a headache, and it doesn't go away, and you're going to see your healthcare provider. And Google says, okay, check for me healthcare providers that deal with headaches in the area, near me. You go near me. So you go near me. Okay, boom, it gives you a list of those. And then says, let me see their health profile. How is their health, their medical records of my healthcare providers? What do you think you're going to find? You're going to be surprised. You're going to be surprised. You know why? Because sometimes we believe that health is information. Health is I just get information and that is health. But I'm going to tell you something. Health is an experience, and you need to practice to know what it is. It doesn't come in a news magazine or research. It doesn't come in TikTok, for example, or it doesn't come with, it comes with you practicing every day, every single day, and you can become an expert on health. The next thing that happens after you become an expert, you start sharing. And it's automatic. It just flows from you. It says, so what are you doing? Look at all that energy. What's there with you? Okay, well, I just do this, I do that. You don't have to tell people about remedies. You just have to tell them what you're doing, and that's all you have to do. Okay? It's just like, let's say I have a friend called Jesus, and there's books written about him, songs written about him, movies. There's people that talk every weekend about this Jesus guy and everything. But you never met the guy. Do you know the guy? No, until you sit down and eat with the guy, you don't have no idea what the guy is about. You just have stories about it. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the only way to know health is to experience it. You got to practice every day, every day, every day. So I'm going to try to give you some tips here that you can take home and practice every day so you can become an expert. And they're simple tips. Now, we have blessed that we have a ministry at Lifeline called Lifeline Wellness Institute, and it was founded in 2004. And the founder, is called Peter Carson. He was really, really ill, about to die. He went to a health retreat in New York. At that time, it was called Living Springs in New York. If maybe you know about it. And his life changed. He gave his life to Christ, and everything changed for him. He says, you know what? Instead of doing what I'm doing, I like to practice the same principle. I want to teach people of what I experienced. And the rest is history. And we're just beneficiary of it. Now, there's 12 principles that we practice. And they are not just, we have seen that they're beneficial for your health. When people think about health, they only think about 35% of their health. Now, 35% of their health is what? Anybody knows? Yeah, your nutrition. Nutrition is 35% of the health. If you change your nutrition for good nutrition, you got 35% of your health in your favor. Okay? Now, the rest 65%, you're going to see it on other principles, okay? And I'm going to try to, just talk about those principles. I want to talk about nutrition, not today. We're going to talk about nutrition. Maybe Lily, my wife, she's an expert on that, so she could probably talk about that more. But there's many other principles, and we're going to just talk on those, okay? Now, the body has what is called priorities. It prioritizes things in a certain way. It just says, I'll do this first, then I'll do this second, this third, and this fourth, and it goes like that. So the body basically has a priority system. Now, anybody knows what's the most important priority of the body? Survival. Yes, exactly right. I call it alert mode. Just being in alert mode, right? Trying to figure out if there's anything out there that needs my attention that it's alert mode. I focus on that, and that's my priority, okay? Now, think about this. What I'm going to tell you now, with this information, it's going to take a few minutes. With this information, you can regain a lot of your health, okay? A lot of it, just with this simple information. So, alert mode is the first priority of the body. In other words, if I'm in alert mode, the body does say, okay, wait a second. Everything takes a second part compared to what it's alert mode. This is what I'm going to focus on, okay? And everything takes a back seat on it. For example, let's say I have a health problem. And if I have a health problem and I'm always stressed, do you think I have a higher probability of healing? Probably not. See, your immune system that needs to help you in healing, when you have a lot of stress, you're in alert mode all the time, it won't be able to heal as it needs to heal, okay? So that's important. Now, what are things that put me in alert mode? Well, driving. Would driving here put me in alert mode, yes or no? Absolutely, you have to. If not, you crash. That's the only way the body protects you, right? So there's some things there that put you in alert mode, maybe work, and some other things, right? Now, what's the second priority of the body? If I'm not in alert mode, the body will do this, the following. What is it? Take a guess. Huh? Yes. Sleep? No, that's not the second priority of the body. Okay, yes, is digestion. Okay, digestion, very good. You guys are really good. So, digestion, if I'm not in alert mode, then my body will digest food. And all the organs of the body that are related to digestion are going to focus on nutrition, okay? That's the second priority of the body. Now, this is important, guys, because here is where sometimes we lack maybe information or habits that actually are detrimental for our health. For example, do you think this guy can digest his sandwich? Is he able to digest? Imagine it's the healthiest sandwich in the world. Can he digest the healthiest sandwich in the world? Why not? Because he's in alert mode. He's in alert mode. And then he's drinking coffee with the food, which creates an alert mode response, by the way, right? It's chocolate. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, by the way, caffeine creates a stress response, so try not to mix the two because they don't go well. Huh? Yeah, that's true too. So this guy is not able to digest his meal because he is actually in alert mode trying to digest at the same time. It's not going to function very well. And when I say digestion, I'm oversimplifying. If you are a healthcare professional and you know your nutrition and all that stuff, you're saying, what are you talking about? No, I'm super simplifying for everybody, okay? I'm talking about creating digestive juices, specific things, but I'm not going to go into that because it would just be like boring, okay? But I'm just saying digestion as a whole, okay? Now, what about these guys? Do you think any of these two can actually digest their meals? Not at all, because they're in alert mode too, And, one of the practices that we do many times is we're trying to do two things that do not mix together. Let me give you an example. Your nervous system, it's divided in sections, and one of the sections is called the autonomic nervous system. Let's say the automatic, right? Like if I cut my hair and I cut it too short and I say, hey, grow now, it's not going to happen, right? It's going to be automatic when it wants to, how it wants to, okay? Now, my hand, I can raise it and squeeze it. That I'm basically, working and I'm actually controlling this. But your autonomic nervous system, it's automatic, okay? Now, it's divided in two sections. One, it's called sympathetic, which is basically your alert mode. You have probably heard fight or flight. And then is the parasympathetic, which is your relax, digest, and heal. There's two different sections, right? You cannot combine it. It's binary. You cannot combine the two at the same time. Either you are in alert mode or you're in parasympathetic, heal, relax, digest, and all those, okay? Now, if I'm trying to do this, I'm not going to get the most out of the food that I'm eating. And sometimes even the food that I'm eating is not even as healthy as it could be. So imagine, there's going to be deficiencies. Now, I'm going to talk about some tips to improve your digestion. And these are very important because sometimes if you know how to have a better digestive hygiene, you will see yourself, if you have a little bit more pounds that you need, it will actually get into place. Just okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Testing, 10-4, 10-4. So anyways, if you have these practices, these tips, if you have an extra pounds, just by doing these tips, you're going to see your weight getting into shape. And I'm simplifying here. We're going to go into weight in different lectures a little bit more. Or if you're too skinny, you say, man, I can't, I just lose too much weight and I can't get it. Then if you happen to practice these methods, you're going to see that you're going to get to your correct weight. Now, these are some simple tips, okay? I could give you a bigger list, but I just wanted to target the best, the fastest one. Now, refrain to drinking with your meals, okay? Try to not drink liquids with your meals. Try to space them a little bit, you know? For example, you could drink at least 30 minutes before, drink as much as you want, right? And maybe wait a little bit longer to drink water if you want to drink. Probably water is the best drink. Now, why do I say this? Because, right, you know, you go to any restaurants, I was used to drinking with my meals. Well, think about this. You know, most of the digestion of proteins happen in the stomach. That's why you create stomach acids, right? On top of this acid helps you to absorb vitamin B12, some minerals. So you need this acid in the stomach to be as strong as it can. But if I take an acid, and I said this morning, if you put some water in it, what happens? You dilute and weaken that acid. So obviously, that strength of digestion is not going to be as strong anymore. You know, I see, for example, a cat. A cat can take a sardine or a fish and eats it. And when you look at the teeth of the cat, it doesn't have teeth like us to grind the food. It just swallows it up. But it could take that fish with the bones and everything and it eats it up. Why can't he do that? Because if I try that, that's not going to work for us. The reason he can do it because his digestive system produces so much acid that he can break down all these components that he's eating and he can digest it. But us, we don't have that much. So if the little we have, we dilute it with liquids, it's going to make it a little bit harder to absorb the nutrients that we need, okay? Second thing, avoid late night, eating late in the night, and then sleeping on your right side, okay? Causes a lot of problems. Now, the right side, it's an issue because it could create acid reflux, right? Your stomach, the way it's designed, if I eat late into the night and I go this way, it will create pressure on the valve, the esophageal valve, and it's going to weaken that valve. And then you find acid reflux coming in. So you don't want to do that. Now, I would say also avoid eating late into the night for many reasons, okay? Number one reason, you're going horizontal. You don't need energy to go horizontal. Most of the functions of the body are going to just really quiet down, so you need all that energy in the night, okay? That's why God created us for the day. Just to give you some tips, we can going to go deeper into that. Then also chew your food thoroughly, so make sure you just, chew your food. The problem is if I'm distracted with other things, I'm not going to digest my food. So it's just something that it's hard to do. One tip you could do is just, put the fork or the spoon in the plate back, on the table, chew, then pick it up. Because if not, we're under rush. We're just like, the soldiers of Gideon, right? That is just rushing to get out. Where we're not in a battle anymore. We're relaxed, so we can just sit down and relax and enjoy our meals. And then really, really, really important. If you want to lose the weight that sometimes is extra, take a walk after the meals, okay? That's a hard thing because, you start sitting around and you start talking to people or you go to work. It's hard, but it's one of the most important tips that I can give you is get up and walk. If you cannot, for times that I cannot do it, like today I wasn't able to do it. I was talking to my cousin and I haven't seen it in many, many, many years, and I was catching up with him and I was like, this is important to me, although I need to walk, right? So here's what I'm going to give you a tip. Let's say you cannot. Now, your muscles, all your muscles can store energy, right? They have storage of energy, except your calves. Your calves cannot store any energy, right? So what I was doing while I was sitting with him, I was doing calf raises. You didn't see because I was under the table. But I was doing my calf raises. Why do I want to do calf raises? Because immediately the body needs the energy to power these muscles that I'm moving. So as I'm moving these muscles, the energy is going from my blood into the muscles. So instead of having a peak of sugar, which causes a lot of problems, then I don't have that peak. And when you have a peak, a lot of things go wrong in your body, okay? So you don't want to have any spikes of sugar in your body. So that's one tip if you cannot go for a walk. But the recommendation is actually to go for a walk, okay? So these are very important tips. Just trying to make it practical for you so you can achieve your goals. Now, the third priority of the body. So it was 3 priorities that I'm saying. Third priority of the body. Anybody knows? Yes. It's where your body rests, it heals. The word detox, everybody heard about detox. It's not a tea that detoxes you. The body actually detox when it's not into digestion or alert mode. When typically your body heals, detox, and restore? When you sleep, yes. When you sleep. So if you sleep, now, it helps to take naps in the day. But when I'm talking about sleep, I'm talking about rest, specifically in the night. Okay? The body has a clock, and the clock is critical. So the clock of the times of sleep is also very important. Okay? Anybody has any questions on what I just mentioned? Yes.
There's a time frame.
Yes.
Asleep for your body to be able to reach that detox. Is it like before 10 p.m. that you should be fully asleep?
Well, your body does have a clock when things are important, and there's stages of sleep. There is what is called non-REM sleep, which is where your body restores, and it cleans up and heals. And there is REM sleep, when your body, basically what it does, it consolidates memory and many other functions, right? Now, these stages have a time frame where there's more probability of having, for example, deep sleep. There's probability of going in deep sleep in the night from 9 to 10:30. Almost 80% of your sleep can be deep sleep, and 20% REM sleep, which is dreaming time. And it changes through the night. So if you want healing, for example, the earlier you could go to bed and go to sleep in the bed, the better it is. Okay? So that's a very important concept. If you work late nights, yes, it's going to affect that rhythm. Yes. So sometimes if you go to bed at midnight, for example, you might get 50-50. 50 healing, 50 just memory consolidation. If you go beyond that, then you don't get a lot of healing and mostly memory consolidation. That's why people that wake up in the night to go to the bathroom, in the morning, they can't remember their dreams. Because they were dreaming. Most of the time, they were dreaming in the night. Okay? Yeah, Charlie, yeah.
Carlos.
Yeah, if you work,
So does it matter? Oh, so does it matter whether or not you get at least 8 hours sleep?
no, it does matter. The times of sleep does matter. For example, if you work third shift, you miss that opportunity, that window. You see, we're not controlled by the time we go to sleep. We're more controlled by the time we wake up. Now, in what there's a hormone that is produced when you get light in your eyes, and that's cortisol. Cortisol basically grounds your sleep patterns. So we have here, we're in the eastern coast of the United States, and our clocks are set. It takes around 5 to 6 days to set our biological clock to that pattern of the East Coast. If I go to Australia, you know, it takes me around 5 to 6 days and my patterns will completely changed. So if I sleep late in the night, because or in the morning, third shift, what I would say for people that work third shift, that they would have to treat the night as their day and their day as the night. It's the only way for them to. Actually, the World Health Organization has classified shift work as a carcinogen. And it has to be so, because there's so many things that happen in that sleep night that are important for your body and your health, that if you bypass them, there's not a lot you could do.
Okay. I figured you could just sleep. As long as you sleep within whatever time frame, let's say 8 hours is a good sleep time. As long as you get deep sleep, that's kind of where you can get your detoxing, your healing, and all that good stuff.
You get some, but not completely, yes.
Okay.
I would say, these guys here are fantastic for our world, but they twist around what God, the lights here, these guys here, the lights, they twist around what God objective for us was. So it's just, yes.
That's fine, that's fine.
Hold on a second, because they want to hear you, because they're streaming, I think.
The streaming. Yep.
Sorry that I'm going to go to another phase of the presentation, so I want to know that everybody understands this part. Yes.
Is there a study made that if you go to bed after 11 o'clock at night, that there's more chance of getting cancer or a heart,
Yes.
or a heart disease?
Yes, there is.
Which one? Both?
Both, yes. They're both similar. Actually, the same reasons you get heart problems, the same reasons you get cancer. Very similar reasons, okay? Body decides. Sometimes you get both. Okay, anybody has questions on this first part of the presentation?
What about somebody that lives in Alaska and that's, light 24/7?
Yes. So that's a big problem. I don't think anybody is meant to live in Alaska, to tell you the truth.
Amen.
I don't know what got into anybody just living over there. Especially you from Florida, It's like, what are you doing up there? They suffer because of it. These seasonal problems, yes.
Is it possible for us to fool our bodies into
Yes.
thinking it's night still?
Yes, we can.
Very
We can. But we have to treat the night as a day and the day as a night, just like if you were in Australia. Okay? You have to be very drastic. You cannot just say, okay, you know what, I sleep and then I wake up. It just changes things. You have to treat the body like it's in a different time zone altogether. Yes, it's a challenge. Yeah, night shift is not for us. Maybe the mice are designed for night shift. That's when they come out, right? That's why you have cats. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, yes.
Is there anything that can be done in the process, because you can't work the schedule of
Yes.
sleeping? So
Yes.
what can you do to help that part?
Again, so the best thing is to treat the body as it's the night is the day and the day is the night. Now, A small, very small dosage of melatonin can help in that case. That's the only case I would recommend melatonin in that simple case. A very, very small amount of it can help trigger when to take it. Yes, you would take it. You would take it before you go to bed to just make that process of getting used to the night and day. But it's a hard thing, you know. It's just going against the grain, which is what it is. Pray for a better time. I had this testimony of this guy. He was from Houston, and he came to the program for 3 days. We allowed him to come for 3 days, and he saw everything. And in the program, we're promoting a 2-meal-a-day cycle, okay? Because while you're there, you're coming for healing. You're not coming for vacation, you're coming for healing. So we're trying to make sure that, okay, if your body needs to heal, well, let's shorten the times of eating. It's not that it applies to everybody. But since he didn't see the whole thing, he just saw that we ate every morning at 9 and every afternoon at 3. So he went home with that idea that that's what he needed to do to be healthy. So he worked in a manufacturing plant, and he worked on they produce these I think it was a car part or some parts, and he was in the computer, the operator that produced the design for these parts. And there were just 2 operators, him and another guy. Now, the whole company stopped with them. So one would take a break, and the company took a break. And he would take a break, and the company would take a break. So the breaks were according around him. So he said, everybody goes to lunch at noon, and I want to go at 3 because I want health. So what am I going to do about this? So he was not comfortable with it, and he went to his supervisor and said, well, I went to a program, and to be healthy, I need to eat at 9 and at 3. And you can imagine the supervisor looking at him. You want me to stop the company, at the time you want for lunch? It's impossible. Well, you know what? Somehow, some way that, I don't know, they actually decided to do what he asked for, he requested. He became so famous in the area of Houston that he's from Honduras originally, that they will call him to give his testimonies all over Honduras and he was a superstar, that he was able to stop the company at 9 and 3. Just, I found it hilarious, but, what I'm saying with this testimony, you can ask God, hey, I think it's better for me not to work at night. Is there another opportunity, possibility for me to actually work at a better time for me, Yes.
What are the benefits of taking a nap? Because sometimes you'll take a nap and then you might wake up groggy or some feeling a certain way.
So the naps are fantastic, but they have to be short naps. You got to time them. You got to put an alarm clock. 15 minutes, it's great. A little bit over that it will impact your deep sleep in the night, okay? So you don't want to overdo them. So there's a lot of people, like they come from Europe and they do the siestas there and they close shop and stuff like that. But these people, they don't have a deep sleep because they open at 8 p.m. and they eat till 2 in the morning, and it's just crazy over there. Any other questions before we go to the next part? Yes. Just a second.
On the short naps, is there a study made on the REM and the other cycles?
Yes, there is. So now that I'm hearing these questions, I'm actually going to put that research on the presentation of rest. We're going to have a day that we're going to talk all about rest and sleep, and I'll make sure that I put those research for you there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Moving on. I'm going to retake the conversation or the the presentation that we had in the morning, okay? Where we're talking that the body was designed by God so that we can be a temple. And in that temple, God created this body as an amazing machinery. It knows what it's doing better than we know what it's doing, okay? So whenever I have a symptom of a problem, the body's actually telling me something. And I told you that there were some things that the body does. One of the things the body does, it's, the cells, for example, they would die if they're exposed to toxic waste or acid waste, metabolic waste. It would die if they're too long. But the body always wants to defend itself. And when it defends itself, we saw some of the things, like, for example, it would retain water. It would cause calcifications or crystals in your body, or also it would also drain through the membranes and skin or mutate into a cancer cell. Now, mutation, even though is, every time you have the C word, you think about, death, because that's what you've seen. I mean, it's a real thing that we have seen. And it's very associated, and it's actually very marketed in that sense. I'm proposing to you that God didn't create the body to die and it to self-auto-destruct. It's not part of His design. And even with sin into the picture, the body has the mechanisms to actually do something about it. My proposal was that the body was actually using cancer mutation, to give you a time for change. Okay? So it is like the buck stops here. We got to make changes. Now, I mentioned some physical changes where your body needs to deal with those. I'm going to go deeper on that. Now,
Said it?
yes. So what I'm saying is that the body, when it just mutates into cancer cells, it's actually the opportunity that your body says, okay, we got to make changes. Now, there's some changes that we have to do. We have to figure it out. That's what we need to look, why the problem is there. Okay? Now, we've been talking about this for many years. Recently, I came to a presentation of 3 professors in Harvard that said, hey, we seen something. We see that cancer cells, they actually survive out of the metabolic waste that is surrounding the cells. And I say, aha, that's it. Okay, now let's go to the solution, right? It should be an easy solution now that you know that this is the problem. There's all these metabolic waste around the cells, and the cancer cells are just eating that metabolic waste to survive. So let's figure it out. Why is this metabolic waste there? That's what I would think, right? I would say, why are this there? Well, you see, there's an underlying problem. When we try to solve a problem, we have to know the underlying, what's the assumptions and what's underlying. This is how we see it in the blood. When we do a blood analysis, this is how we see. You see all that white stuff? That is just metabolic waste around the surrounding cells. And this person already, their organs are just really very deteriorated. When I see this, I know that, you know what? Either we have time to change, but sometimes it's too late, It's too late, and it's unfortunate. But I'm going to talk about the underlying principles. Here's the deal. I believe, I believe wholeheartedly as I study the body that God is the creator of the body. I just believe it with all my heart. So that's my foundation assumptions. Did I see the body? God created the body. Did I see any time that any human being saw God created the first person? No one. So I'm accepting that belief by faith, okay? It's a faith, it's where my faith takes me because of what I've seen. Next option is that I evolved, come from an evolutionary standpoint, okay? Have anybody seen anybody evolve into a human being? no one has seen it. So it's a state belief. It's a faith belief. Somebody has faith that because of the data that they see, they believe that humans evolve from whatever lesser organism into a human being. So that's both our faith systems. I'm just going to say that these are foundational principles. This is the assumptions that I'm starting with. And where I start on my assumptions, I am going to end up in my conclusions. As far as data goes, the data is the same. I see the same data that every scientist see. Exactly like you. It's already published. You could see the data. Like I went to Arizona and I'm doing this blood analysis that we do, and I'm showing the blood in the screen with this. He is a PhD student, and he's a microbiologist, and his research is to have a vaccine for certain cancers. So you can imagine how excited I am exchanging data and information with this kid. We're just going at it, and we just can't stop. And I know that I have other people that said, forget it, we're going to cancel, we're just going to talk with this guy. So we're talking, and when I hear his conclusions, I'm so just like, oh, no. And because his conclusions are coming from a foundation principle of evolutionary mindset. And I come from it through a creationist background. Let me show you. This is one of my favorite researchers, doctors. You might have heard of him. He is very popular on YouTube. He's one of those that promotes, have you heard of intermittent fasting? It's a very popular word. He's one of those, and he tells it's good for diabetes and cancer and all that stuff, okay? So here's a book he just wrote, and I read parts of the books, and I just came to this quote. And he wrote a book on cancer, and this is where I'm not going to read anymore. Here's what he comes from, okay? It says, recently a new and fascinating concept of cancer has emerged. Cancer develops through genetic mutations. I just told you that this morning, right? But those mutations are not random. There is only one power in the biological universe strong enough to coordinate the hundreds of gene mutations into a coherent behavior that defines cancer. What is that power? Evolution, right? It says cancer is an evolutionary disease, but cancer does not evolve in a forward manner, but backwards. Cancer cells are more primitive than normal cells. We all know that. Cancer cells are less specialized. Cancer cells are less differentiated. The Evolving Paradigms of Cancer by Dr. Jason Fung. So what he's saying is what all scientists say, unfortunately, that the problem is an evolutionary problem. Now, you might be Christian, but the books that you read and go to school with to learn about all this are what? Evolutionary in principle. So the assumptions are starting from a standpoint of evolution, so then your conclusions are going to be what? Different conclusions. Okay, I have a problem that I have to attack and destroy. That is the mindset. If not, it's going to kill you. Now, I'm coming from a creationist background. I say, no, wait a second. The body was created perfect. God knows that there's a process in the body. If you have the time to work at the things that you need to change, you're going to have good results. And that's what we've seen, okay? Good results if you work with or trust the processes that God has put in place. Now, let me put a caveat here. Don't go and start drinking green juices and think that you're going to heal from everything by drinking green juices and eating vegetables. That's great stuff for you. It's not bad for you. But that is not where you heal. If you go tell your healthcare provider, this is what I'm going to do, what are you going to think they're going to do? They're going to laugh at you because this is not where healing is found. You got to get to the source of the healing. Where is the source of the healing? Where is the source of the problem with cancer? Well, I told you that if the filters get congested, you got to decongest it. That's the first thing. But the second thing is you got to address why the problem is there. Now, I mentioned just by passing that 90% of the diseases are in your imagination, in the mind, okay? And you got to deal with it. Let me just give you an example. This lady comes to the program, and we go through the screening on the phone, and everything is great. She sends her medical records. Everything looks good, so she has an opportunity. She's dealing with cancer. When she sits in front of us and we're sitting to do the evaluation, I see it. I said, this lady is not very strong anymore. She's when I see her blood, it's worse than I just saw it here, okay? It's worse than I just show it to you, way worse. And I was like, so I said, so tell me the truth where you're at. And are you in hospice right now? She says, yes, they have given up on me. Okay. And I said, well, now she came from very far, and, she's not very strong. And I said, how can I just send her back? How can I just send her back home? So let's say, okay, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Let's see how much we can do for you, okay? Let's see if what we do works with what your body can do. Well, the staff, our staff, it's very loving, very caring. They give 120% for you. So they were all rooting for her, everybody loving her and all these things. She came with her mother-in-law to the program. And second or third or fourth day of the program, we have this devotional that we have as a staff and pray for everybody there. And we're doing this, and I have this very hard, like God is telling me that she needs to go back home with her family and be with her family. And it's very strong. It wake me up in the morning. I'm praying about it, and I tell the staff about it. And some of the staff says, but I had a dream that she was going to get healed, and we can let her go and all these things. But it's my impression that it's so strong. I said, God, what am I going to do here? So I pray. How could I tell a person that they have to go home and die? I mean, it's not part of my DNA. It's so hard. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm praying. So I talked to her husband. I called her husband and said, hey, here's the situation, how I'm seeing it. I believe that it's unfair for the family to be away from your wife and mother at this time of her life. It's not fair that I have her and not you guys. And he understood. I said, there's opportunities where you live that you could do things at home and you could do things in different areas that could help her. But so I go to her room. For some reason, I go to her room and I see her. She always was covered with so many things, and I thought it was cold for her. But when I see her, in her regular clothes, I see that, it's just, she needs to go home, right? Okay, we started doing some, and I talked to her, and she's like, but I need to live till May. She said, that's all I want. I need to see my daughter graduate. That's all I care. And I said, okay, well, let's do this. We're going to give you a very simple therapy. If you're able to do this therapy, you stay. And we took her, just a simple one, and she couldn't do it. Her organs were already just really gone. Now, I'm trying to talk about, I'm giving you this example to talk about the underlying problem of things, okay? Now, her mother had come from a different country to come and visit her because of her cancer, right? Well, the mother visited her one time, and she spent so many days, months around her and never went to visit her. Actually, they would just give her a Coke, put a Coke, 2-liter Coke in her door, and never came to say hi or not say hi, Now, who came to the program with her was her mother-in-law, not even her mother. So when I give you this picture, where is the underlying problem? You see? Now, she needs to go where that position is, and she needs to have God help her in that situation, and she has to go there. But how could she go there in the state that she is? I mean, it's just the talking about it just crumbles her, and she's already weak. So sometimes do not believe that a green juice or a vegetable diet will heal that type of problem. Okay? It just doesn't, right? She doesn't sleep well. She doesn't get deep sleep, so she can get healing. I mean, there's so many other variables that I'm trying to tell you. We got to find the real underlying cause, okay? And it has many tentacles or many variables. Now, the summary of what we left this morning was that, sorry, I went too fast on this. The summary was that, see, you got it. That the body has two mechanisms. Either it dies of fibromas or basically defends itself by the many things that I already talked. Now, here is what we treat, how we treat today, problems like this. In the first century, when they didn't like you, they thought you were a heretic, they would put you at the guillotine. They cut your head off. We do the same thing. We see a problem, oh, it's a tumor, we're just going to cut the head off. And that's what we do, okay? I'm just talking about the treatment strategies. Or if they didn't like you, what you believed, they would burn you at the stake. We have fancy machines to burn at the stake also. Or if they didn't like you, they will poison you. We do the same thing. I'm not saying they're bad or wrong. They have a place, okay? They have a place. Now, if we're going to do the same thing, my PowerPointing will. If we're going to do the same thing of the first century, why don't we just, in the first century, they would siege a city. Remember, they would just surround the city, and the food was outside. The city was fortified. The food was outside, and the people in the inside of the city said, I give up because I have no food, and they would give up. In these cases of cancer, we should probably do the same thing. Surround the city, maybe cleansing the filters. If it's an acid problem, get rid of the acidity of the problem and do some things. Do some things to fix the problem. Look, siege went outside. I needed to clean it up. Okay, so we could do some things. Now, why do we want to clean the congested filters? Once we clean the congested filters of the body, now the waste can actually start going and getting filtered and excreted out of the body. So as soon as you do that, that metabolic waste is going to flow out of the body. Now you're addressing the reason the cancer cells are eating toxic waste, because they are going to die if they don't. Now, nutritional therapies, because people want to know about what I do, what do I eat? Well, we promote juices. Juices are great because there are alkalinized of them. Juicing is not something that you have to do it all your life. It's just for a period of time. God created fiber for a reason, right? But in some cases, you want to just overdo it, just to give a lot of nutrients to your body. Maybe you go into a diet low in animal protein and sugar too. Sugar, it's a big issue, by the way. It's a big problem. You want to have sugar, have it the normal way that God did sugar. For example, have you heard of dates? Delicious. Dates are delicious. And they don't spike your sugar that much. You could just have one or two. You get your sugar fix with one of those, okay? Increase your water intake. A lot of the problems are because of dehydration. We are dehydrated most of the time. There's some things you could use. The graviola plant, which is like, graviola, it's the, I don't know if you know the annona plant or guanabana plant. It's really powerful, really powerful. Berberine, it's also very good to lower the sugar spike. You want to have a low glycemic index. Magnesium, sometimes, most people are deficient in magnesium. And the studies show that If you're low in magnesium, you have a 40% probability of cancer, just being low in magnesium, okay? So we want to just recover that. We want vitamin C. We use a gooseberry. Gooseberries are good. I know that George is having gooseberries trees. I was very happy about the gooseberries. Gooseberries are very high in vitamin C. You could have tactics of that. How do you create alkaline environment? Just going to give you food that are just basically more alkaline, which is the part of your right side, the green part, that is more alkaline. You want to just double down on those type of meals instead of the acid forming. Not saying you don't eat the acid forming, but just double down if you need healing quickly. You could do some hydrotherapy. You could use the skin as a way to get rid of toxins. Saunas are fantastic. Anybody has opportunities for sauna here? Anyone? Just use them and use them and use them. Research says that just using saunas increases your lifespan up to 10 to 15 years. Just using sauna, not changing anything, okay? So it's fantastic. I would use it every day if I had the opportunity. You could do breathing exercises. You know, the yoga people using breathing, but we can use it not for the same purpose. But breathing is fantastic because it takes you to a parasympathetic environment. When you breathe out, for example, and you breathe out, your body goes into relax and heal, okay? So use it wisely, yes. How to use a sauna, recommendations on how to use a sauna. You know, the studies show that 20 minutes of sauna, and I'm talking hot sauna with a little bit of steam. That's the research. There's infrared. If you're going to use infrared, I would say that make sure you have near infrared. Infrared, it does not heat the body enough to cause the benefits that you get for that type of heating that I'm talking about. What about jacuzzis? Jacuzzis, you could use jacuzzis too. Make sure you could get your temperature of the jacuzzi to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And you could last there for a few minutes, 15 minutes if possible. Yes. Fantastic, fantastic.
Can you ask that again?
So if you do a sauna, a jacuzzi, and then a cold plunge,
Okay.
then it does have a great benefit. That switch creates a great benefit. It boosts your immune system response, and also our bodies are meant to have the ability to adapt to different conditions. And we have not done that because we have air conditioners or heaters or stuff like that. But it used to be that we work in the field and sometimes it was cold, sometimes it was hot. And our bodies, when it takes that adaptation process, it creates some proteins that fix your DNA strands, your telomeres. Yes, somebody had a question. Oh, here.
I'd like to go back to the berberine, taking the berberine.
Yes.
Do you take it ongoing or do you have to rest, like after a couple of months of taking it?
That's a great question. I have not seen anything that you need to rest. You would take it during the duration of the treatment you're doing. For example, if it's for times of diabetes and you want to lower your glucose levels, you would take it for the time until you're normalized. If it's for cancer, then you would take it on the times where you think that you're going to get a high glycemic food, so you want to maintain it low. That's the whole point of it. Okay, so it's more specific or targeted than just take it as a vitamin thing like that. Yes.
With the deep breathing, is it the same as when you have anxiety attacks and they tell you the breathing methods is because it's supposed to throw out all your body resets after a deep second breath?
So yeah, so the deep breathing is because when you exhale, so I inhale and my body goes into sympathetic mode, activates the sympathetic nervous system. When I breathe out, I activate the parasympathetic, the relaxed, heal. So basically, it's an activity to actually train your body to relax, okay? But you have to practice it, not when you have anxiety, obviously it's not gonna work. You have to practice it so that when you have anxiety, you can tap into that. The reason I'm specifying here is actually to create an imbalance in your body and create more alkalinity in your body. So you're throwing out CO2 faster than you're taking it in. So you will go like this. It will be like this. You see, so it's taking out the CO2 faster. Okay.
How many times a week do you recommend the cold, and then, the sauna and then cold?
The more the better.
Okay,
The
so
research
it can be done
says
every day?
Almost every day, yes. If you can do it every day, it's fantastic.
And it's in that order, right? Hot, then cold?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely. The cold doesn't have to be very long. Okay, you don't have to sit like in the internet and YouTube. You see people like for 20 minutes and 30. You don't have to do that much. It's just when you do that change, it's just quickly. And it doesn't have to be that cold either to cause the effect, the benefits, okay? It's just this change on temperature. So let's say my body temperature goes to, 99 degrees Fahrenheit. And then I take a water at 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So that change is enough to do the stresses. You don't have to do like a cold plunge that is super cold, but it's actually good, not bad.
Now, the sauna, how long?
20 minutes. Yes. There's other therapies you could do. For example, I told you that the body produces crystals, right? Inside, calcifications and crystals to kind of compensate for the acid waste. Yes. Oh, yes. After the sauna, it's good to take some water with minerals. Coconut water, that would be nice. Ice cold coconut water. That would be nice to replenish the minerals if you're doing it every day, okay? Thank you, Lily. You see, she's my coach. It's just
Before or after? Before.
After.
After.
Now, another thing is, I told you about the crystals that are forming your body, right? These crystals, they are these salts. For example, uric acid. Uric acid determines a lot of your health, right? And you could do a uric acid test, and you could see that most people have a high uric acid content. Or, it's just amazing what I see. When I see the blood, the first thing I look is for crystallization, and I can see that a lot of people have a lot of crystals. That is your body trying to compensate. Now, these crystals affect our bodies, right? They get into the joints and cause joint pains, right? That will be a big sign. Another thing is that, once you have a lot of uric acid crystals, what happens is that everything you eat becomes fat. It's stored into fat, just like bears. Bears, when they're going to hibernate, you know what they do? They start producing a lot of uric acid crystals. And even they eat blueberries that they eat, it becomes fat because that's a mechanism of the body. The camels do the same thing. When they're going to travel, they start producing a lot of uric acid. Everything they eat goes into those humps, right? And then what happens is that fat is metabolized into CO2 and water, and that's how they survive with water, the bears and the camels. So if you don't drink enough water, you're going to produce a lot of uric acid, and I think that's why one of the reasons I see a lot of uric acid, plus the sugar too. We eat a lot of things with sugar. So how do you get rid of these acid? Another way to get rid of the acid is salt bath. I use Epsom salt because Epsom salt is very affordable, You want to use a quality Epsom salt that is USP grade, meaning that it's drinkable too. Don't use those with aromas and things like that because they put a lot of chemicals that your body doesn't need. So you heat your water temperature, just a little bit warmer than, not super hot, doesn't have to be super hot. If you can handle heat, that's okay. But warmer, you put around, like 3 cups of that in a regular tub. If you have a big tub, you need to put a little bit more. But around 3 cups of Epsom salt bath, mix it in, you go in there, and basically what happens, you're creating a gradient from higher concentration to lower concentration. So as the pores come out, it starts extracting those salts, those crystals from your body. It's a fantastic, fantastic therapy. You could do charcoal bath. If you learn about charcoal, activated charcoal, it's fantastic for you. Basically, what you're doing is, okay, I cannot eliminate through my organs because they're congested. I'm going to use the skin as a method. Charcoal bath is beautiful. The problem is that they make a mess. So you have to have somebody with you to help you out. There's what is called fever bath, creating an artificial fever. This is fantastic to boost your immune system. I have stories of this, but because of time, I'm just going to cut it. But basically what you're creating is a fever. What you do, let me just show you how you do a fever bath very quickly. You you have to have a thermometer to measure your body temperature. And you have to have somebody with you in this fever bath, right? You want to put the temperature of the water at 100 degrees Fahrenheit at least, okay? 100 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty hot. And you're going to go in. So let's say my temperature, my body temperature, just for example, it's 95 degrees Fahrenheit. That's too cold, but I'm just for example, okay? I go at 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and I measure the temperature frequently. As my temperature increases up to 3 degrees higher, so it goes from 95 to 98, then I make sure that I try to sustain that temperature. So I use cold towels in the head. I use cold towels in the head, cold towels to maintain my temperature around just 98 degrees Fahrenheit, 3 degrees higher than I started, okay? And I want to reach a time of 20 minutes, okay? It is very strong therapy. After that therapy, you take a little cold shower, you take your time and you rest for at least 30 minutes lying in bed, okay? You don't move because your body goes through a fever. Now, this is fantastic, not only for things like cancer, but autoimmune diseases or really a flu or a viral thing. Is fantastic to get you over the hump, okay? But you have to have somebody to measure your temperature. You cannot be alone because you might faint if it's too high or you can't control it, okay? So you have to be with someone. So another thing that I didn't mention much this morning is that when your body does not move, you don't drink enough water, your body has too much proteins and too much, toxic waste, it will use the sewage of the body. That is the lymphatic system. That's where you see the swelling of the feet, the swelling of the belly, that beer belly that some of us have. That's a problem with the lymphatic system, and it causes many issues. Like, for example, these things like polyps and lumps in areas that you shouldn't have lumps, and many things. They're related to the lymphatic system problem. So you want to be able to move that. One of the reasons is that we don't exercise and the lymphatic system do not have a pump. So it's a pipe system that doesn't have any pump. So if you don't do this movement frequently, you don't exercise, you don't drink enough water, it's going to get congested. So you got to move it. So there's other things you could do. There's things like dry brushing. There's special dry brushes. They're very affordable that you could use to move that lymphatic system. The gardening is fantastic because you have to go up and down many times. There's things like rebounders. I saw my host, they have a rebounder in the house because they know that rebounder moves that blood system. There's, in the entrance, you go to the right, you see.
Yeah, close to the
Trampoline.
Close to the piano.
Yeah, close to the piano, yeah, there. So, yes, massages are fantastic. If you love massages, if they're lymphatic drainage, they're great. Hot and cold showers are great. Also, the exposure. So, that exposure of change, it actually circulates not only your blood, but also your lymphatic system, and drinking lots of water. I'm going to skip the castor oil packs. They're great, but I'm just going to skip them for now. Oxygen, the green juicing is great if you can have green juices for oxygen. These have greens is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll carries a lot of oxygen to your blood, okay? Now, did that presentation in Canva and downloaded to PowerPoint, and sometimes I need to revise it. I forgot. So fasting is the number one medicine that you could do for almost everything, okay? Fasting is the best medicine you could do. It takes time and practice. How do I would practice fasting? You never fasted before.
Go to the clinic and stay there.
Yeah, if you go, you can do it.
Force
No,
you.
yeah, no, don't be forced. Here's what you do. You start with 1 day a week. Let's say, 1 day a week, you skip one meal. Okay, that's how you start. And then the next week, you skip 2 meals that day. And then the third week, you skip the whole day. Just go 1 day fasting. And see if you can maintain 1 day a week with fasting. Just give the body a rest to heal. I mean, this is like, as important to me as vitamin D it's important, right? You hear a lot of vitamin D, which is fantastic and important. Fasting is the same, okay? It gives the body a break for the body to heal. Because when you're not eating, and if you're not in alert mode, the body will just heal. So just give the body that opportunity. Are there people that should not fast? Yes. There's people that probably should stay away from fasting. Who needs fasting the most? The person that skip a meal and get a headache immediately, those are the ones that need the fasting the most, okay? That's what the body's telling you. It's the opposite of what you think. I fast and I get a headache and I just get... You probably need fasting. There's many ways to fast. There's not only one way, okay? The most important is drinking a lot of liquids and fluids. Now, we practice one that makes it very easy to fast is with lemon water. So you would take the juice of a lemon with the same amount of water, and every 2 hours you drink that. What that does, it creates a trick your brain, because hunger doesn't start here, hunger starts here. So all of a sudden, the brain has a little bit of sugar, and it comes down, and you're able to do it more easier. Or you could do like a broth of vegetables. Don't eat the vegetable, but just the broth. Gives you the minerals, it's warm, it sustains you, and you could do that day of fasting, which is very good for you. Now,
but the lemon needs to be without the fiber, right? When you do
yeah, just the lemon juice, yeah, without the fiber. No, you could put more. You could put as much as you want. Water. Yeah, put more water. Perfect. You do it every morning is good, but I'm just saying as a strategy for fasting, you would do it at a 2-hour period to calm your hunger. Every 2 hours, 7 times a day or 8 times a day. How much what?
16 ounce.
Oh, you just squeeze 1 or 2 lemons and then put some water. How much water? 4, 8 ounces, it does not matter. Smarter, it's okay. I would use a straw, when I'm doing this. And it will be good for you. Yes. On fasting.
Interested in the type of water, like mineral water, spring water, or distilled water. I've been told distilled water is very unhealthy to drink.
Yes, so for water, distilled water has its purpose, okay? But for what you're going to use it, you want to use drinking water, spring water. I heard that you guys have a lot of springs around here, so you might have really good water, so use just spring water, right? Because that's how God created. Just go with what God created as much as you can. Same way that God put it in nature. Tap water.
Oh, tap water.
Tap water. If that's all you got, yes. If that's all you got, you should probably filter it. You should probably leave it overnight sitting to get some of those chemicals evaporated. Yeah. If tap water is all you got, then that's what you use. But yeah. Yes.
Sorry if I missed it. When you're fasting, is just plain water okay, or do you need something with electrolytes like the coconut water?
If you never fasted before, I would say start with some electrolytes. You could do coconut water. The thing with coconut water is that it has a little bit of sugar in it. And if you have, the lemon has just barely enough sugar to trick the brain to feel comfortable. If you have a little bit of extra more sugar, you will get really hungry, and it will be hard to sustain the fast. So the key is to trick the brain so that you don't feel hungry. That you could do this and you say, man, I just don't feel like, I feel good. I don't feel like eating. I'm great. But that's the key. But if it has a little bit more sugar than you need, you're going to be starving, and you say, why am I putting myself to this torture? You know? So that's the key. You could do it from 6 to 6, from 6 to 7, you know. Yeah, from 6 to 8, yeah. Okay? Now, there's extreme therapies that are really good, because basically what happens is when you have these cancer cells, fasting is valuable in this condition, especially if you're going the route of chemotherapy. If you're going the route of chemotherapy, fasting is a very important factor. So you would fast 72 hours before the chemotherapy, and it would make it more effective for you, and you would have less side effects or hardly any side effects at all. And you would need less dosage of chemotherapies if you're doing this. So you can combine these therapies 72 hours before the chemotherapy. Okay? Now, either lemon fasting or water fasting. Now, there's other fastings you could do. For example, you could just go raw fasting. Basically, you do raw salad in the morning, raw salad in the afternoon. Also, that can count as a fast also, okay, to some people. Which, what was that? Some cheese? No cheese, no dressing, okay? You would create your own dressing. We will help you with creating some dressing, okay? Yes, that's if you have a cancer, aggressive cancer, this is what you would do, and you will see really good results with it. For a normal person, a 3-day will be a good reset. Yeah. Yes. Great reset. Yes. You could add something like a vegetable broth if you need something warm to kind of, because really warm stuff just feels good, okay? Celtic salt, fantastic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What you expect to experience is first hunger in your mind, right? Like you're not hungry, but you want to eat. So not hungry, but just want to eat because you're used to it. Second, first fear, like, oh my goodness, am I going to do this? Is it going to happen? What am I going to do? But that's nothing going to happen to you. Third, you might feel really tired, right? You feel tired because obviously the first day, all your glycogen storage are gone. So now you don't have any sugar in your body, and your body's going to go like, what am I going to do? Especially the brain, right? So you feel very sluggish in the first few hours. In the day, at the end of the first day, you feel very tired. Like by the second day, you start feeling that your tongue gets really white. Your liver goes into phase 1 detox, okay? So everything that is a toxic waste in the body is converted, it's put into the fat cells, right? It's converted into fat. So now the liver is going to take that fat and then start surfacing out, and you get your white tongue, so you need to dry brush just brush your tongue, right? And then by the third day of this, most likely you feel okay. You feel like, man, I don't feel bad. I feel empowered that I can do this. Do I want to eat? Yes, I want to eat. By the time you're going to finish that fast, you say, man, I want to eat a lot. But then once you eat, it says, oh, I could have done more days. This felt so good for me. There might be times that, when your body goes through that healing process, you might feel if you have a back pain, a few hours, you might get worse. Like, oh, what's going on? This is not working for me. Okay? that maybe you get a light headache, especially if you use caffeine, and you're not having that caffeine. You get like, oh, it's not a super headache, but it's like there. You feel it there, okay? So those are some of the symptoms. Thank you, Lily. Yes, you move. The more you move, the better it is for you. Yes. Yes. Now, next is outdoors. Yes. Yes.
Lemon juice is what I'm getting to. If you don't have the lemons, I'm gonna go and get some lemons when we leave here. Okay.
Wait, you're talking Florida or you're talking somewhere else?
No. I'm just saying, the lemon is lemon juice a good substitute? Is what I'm gonna arrive into, but I mean also lemon juice as opposed to real lemons, orange juice, the good kind, Tropicana. As opposed to oranges, so on and so forth.
No, you want to squeeze. You want to squeeze your own lemons, okay?
Exactly, yeah.
You want to squeeze your own lemons for juice. Now, as far as fruit juice comes, fruit juices are detrimental to your health. They're one of the worst things you could do for your health. Fruit juices, okay? And the reason is because of the fructose. Your body cannot handle that amount of fructose that is in a orange juice, Florida orange juice, right? It just doesn't have the ability to handle that. So what is going to happen, right? Your body, your cells, they have the ability to use energy and build stuff, right? So there's two mechanisms at play. Use energy or burn energy and produce stuff. Okay? Now, this process is handled by insulin. Insulin helps you grow stuff, and insulin helps you use that energy, right? Send it to the cells so the cells can use that energy. When you have fructose, fructose is not metabolized into energy. So it will go to the liver and it will be converted into fat. Okay? So the only way to handle fructose and to use it as energy is to use it in a fruit itself with a fiber. Okay? If you take the fiber away from a fruit, it cannot metabolize the sugar or the fructose into energy. It will be converted into fat in the liver. So one of the critical things that I see very frequently is non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That's one of the things that, it's everywhere now, even into children. And these people do not drink alcohol, but they have an excessive amount of fructose in their diet. And I'm not against fruits, but yes, fruit juices are detrimental to your health. Stay away from them if you can. Okay? Yes. It's Charlie back there.
So when you're talking about fruit juice, you're talking about it being unnaturally from... Like
No,
the
you
fruit
squeeze
itself?
orange juice, right? You squeeze an orange, and it gives you this amount of juice.
Yeah.
You squeeze another juice, an orange, it gives you this amount. You squeeze another juice. By the time you have a 16-ounce orange juice, you have like 4 or 5 oranges, right? Without the fiber. So your body can handle at least 5, I think it's your small intestine can handle at least, I think it's 5 grams of fructose in one setting. And you're going to be way over that. So you're going to create fat deposits in your liver when you go. It's like you drink alcohol. If you drink wine or you drink anything like that, alcohol will produce, it's not metabolized. The liver just converts it into fat.
Gotcha.
It has a fiber. The key is a fiber.
Okay. So going back into like the whole fasting, I know we were mentioning about lemon water, and I know there's different types of fastings that people have done, even myself. And I know, like we were talking about, there's just that fear of, man, can I do it? Can I do it? But I've done different type of fasting, and the results kind of felt the same. So like one I did was a full watermelon. So I did a watermelon fast.
Right. That's good.
So I was thinking again, is that too much fruit for one person? Obviously, you're not gonna eat it in one sitting, but you know, you just have a whole day of watermelon, just in parts during the day, and I felt great.
Yes.
You know, another type of fasting I did was using Celtic salt
Yeah.
with coconut, lemon, and cayenne pepper.
Okay.
And that whole deal was like, I did a whole week and I lost like almost 12 pounds just in a
Yes.
weekend.
Yes, yes.
So I did not feel
No.
like weird about it. I did not feel like, well, you know, my sugar's high, or I never felt anything like. So I'm just thinking, it's just doing those things, even if you feel good, is that still good?
Yes, it's really good for you. You
Because
see, fiber is an important nutrient. Probably the most important nutrient in your diet right now is fiber. Now, when you do these type of fastings, basically what you do is you simplify the digestive process. So I told you that the second priority of the body is digestion. So now you're just basically skipping that digestive part and concentrating on healing and restoring and detoxing. So their body handles that very well. Yes, here, wait for the microphone.
Well, let's say you've been on a regimen for 15 years of medicine, like Lipitor for heart, Coreg, lisinopril, those kind of medicines, and you want to fast. You continue to take your medicines while you fast?
Yes, so the only thing that's a great question, actually. Thank you for asking that question. If you have medications that you're taking, I would say our recommendation is be sensible with it. If I'm taking a glucose medication, right, to lower my sugar levels because I'm diabetic or pre-diabetic and I'm taking medicine, well, if you're not eating, obviously you're not going to have a sugar spike. So be careful with that because your blood sugar can get low and then you're taking the medication to make it lower and you could faint. The same with blood pressure medication. Your blood pressure might go lower, and if you take your medication as you're typically taking without checking it first, it might really go down. Now, as far as the cholesterol medications and thus, you can continue taking those medications if you want. It's just not going to make a change in your fasting, okay? Now, what I've seen is in at least a week to 2 weeks of changes that you do in your body, in your lifestyle, as far as meals, fasting, and all those things, those things regulate very quickly. I had this month, just a couple weeks ago, we finished a program, had this guy with a cholesterol in the 260, 280s, very high. And by the time he left, it was 137, 136. So it does make a big difference. So then you have to go to your healthcare provider and checked, and they would address it at that time. But it's a good point, good question, really good question.
Recently, I found a drink, aloe. It's got little pieces of aloe in it, and it's flavored with either pomegranate or mango. But I think it has sucrose in it. That's the negative part. What do you recommend?
If it has sucrose in it, just stay away from it. They're deceiving you. You could do it yourself. Aloe is very easy to find. Mangoes, you're in Florida. You should find it very easy. So all these things are easy to do at home if you like it and want to do it that way. Yes. Mm-hmm. Then outdoors, I was going to talk about outdoors. The healing power of outdoors is unbelievable. You see, when you're outdoors, you're not just getting the healing benefit of just the atmosphere, the air, and everything, but it's that green. You see the greenery that you have there? That green has the ability to reflect what is called near infrared light. So the sun gives you, all the spectrum of light, but there is a capacity in the near infrared light that is the one that heats you, right? Infrared and near infrared creates the heat that you feel from the sun. And near infrared light, it can penetrate even 8 millimeters down. So even if I have a shirt on, it can penetrate. Well, the beauty of near infrared light is that it can go straight to the cell and basically activate the mitochondria to produce melatonin, which is don't produce ATP or energy, it produces melatonin. Now, melatonin is the number one anti-cancer agent that the body can produce. Melatonin it is. Now, it's the one that is produced in the cell, not the body that is produced in the brain to make you go to sleep. So during the day, just by being outside, your body can actually produce an antioxidant to actually make you feel better and heal faster. And you don't have to be straight under the sun. You could just be on greenery. So this is a fantastic way of healing, which is outside. And there's so much benefits. I just giving you one related to cancer. Now, the last and not the least is trusting God. I mean, this is something that obviously Pastor will talk to you about, but I have to say that if you know that God made your body smart with all this intelligence and this information, trust the processes that God gave for the body and start there first. Start searching. How do I start searching, man? I would say the first thing I would do is I ask God for revelation. You could start with journaling. God, I have these questions in my mind. I need revelation from you to guide me to where areas of my life I need to improve. And start trusting the way He's leading, because He will lead you, but you just need to listen. You have to pay attention, okay? And it might be some changes. You have to be willing to make the changes. God is not in the business of just saying words that do not have any power, okay? So if it's going to fall in deaf ear, He's not going to say it, okay? So you got to have a willing heart to say, God, I'm going to trust you. And if you tell me that I need to go to bed earlier because this is the situation I need, and I feel that it's impossible because I have all these things, then you have to take action on those things. Or if it's, I need to be more active or drink more water or pay attention to my emotional state or fix the relationships that are broken in my life causing the problems, or even the relationship with you got to address them, right? Because the body, it's a temple, and this temple is for you to live to the maximum with purpose and mission and with the energy that the pastor brings to the table all the time. That's great. Thank you, guys. I want to say that we are going to be here during the week, every day at 7, but also we'll be here during the day. If you are interested in going to a root cause analysis, we're going to look at, not just giving you numbers of this or that or the other. We're going to sit down with you and look at root cause analysis for your specific conditions, or even, to find where you're at as a state. It will be not just a analysis, will be educational, and also you'll come out with a plan of action that you could say, okay, here's the areas that I saw that I need to improve. Here's the methods that I need to improve. And that takes around an hour to an hour and a half, depending on the questions and the interactions that we have. So we'll be here for that if you're interested. I don't know if there's a link that I can send for you guys to see and schedule it, right? It needs to be scheduled. Yes. We're gonna start from 8 in the morning to 5:30. So we're available during those times. Right here. You tell me where it is gonna be. Here.
Okay, so yes, it's gonna be here, and we can use any of the rooms. We can use the kitchen. It's not gonna be nobody in the church, right? So that's not a problem. The only question will be: you want to then to contact me to do the schedule, or you want to like another phone number to do that? What do you want to do?
I have a link on a link that I can pass along. You could pass along or put it somewhere, and they can click and they can create a schedule there, and they can schedule the hours that. Once they get a schedule, I know that I need to be here available for them on that time. So.
Okay, so what is
That number will work, or I can give you Lily's number.
Lily? Lily.
Can you take your number and they can call you too? Is her number? You could write it down. It's 630 935
cell phone.
935 3300.
Okay. You can repeat that again. You can do it again.
630 935 3300. So if you're interested, call, or we'll just somehow you could send a link, write a text or an email to everybody that can see the link and they can do the appointments there.
There's a link too for that.
Yeah.
You can send it to me. I will share.
It'll tell you what it's about, what it takes, and all that stuff. It gives you even a video
Perfect.
of what we do and everything.
Perfect. I'll send an email to the church and to the WhatsApp group. By the way, if you're not either in an email thread or if you're not in a WhatsApp group, you're missing information, and you shouldn't. Okay, the door of grace is still open. So contact me if you want to be part of the email thread or you want to be on the WhatsApp group. Again, the WhatsApp group is not for discussion. It's only me and two other people that is allowed to send a message through WhatsApp group. It's a really wonderful tool so you can have all this information, okay? I would say the best way to see what's going on in you is looking inside of you. Okay, it's the best way, and they will do like a multiple testing.
Yeah.
They will do the blood. I wish we could have today the one of testing the blood test today, so they can see it, what's going on in the cell. But it's extremely important, and we have a couple hands here. That was my next question too. Yeah. So it does has a cost. It does has a cost. But the church is willing to help you out with the cost. Okay. If you feel that it's not something that you can do it, but you need it, don't because the whole purpose for us to bring him here is for you to be affordable, and that's one thing that you always say. That's what is it about health? It needs to be what?
Affordable, accessible, and ability for everybody to experience it.
And that
It's a human right.
And this is I agree 100%.
Yes.
But if you can afford that, do it. I mean, this guy here in Florida. I think he charged like down to Miami. He charged like $400, and is not as complete with the visit with Ramon that you're gonna have here in the church. But he charged like around $300 to $400. Is that Seventh Day Adventist? It's a Cuban guy. I don't know his name now. You might know him. You know him, right? So he has like the whole clinic down there. It's not gonna be that price.
No.
It's not gonna that price. Not even close. It's way less. Again, if you can't afford, just take it. Just take the consultation, and they will take your name. If you're like, no, the church will take care of it. Don't worry about anything else. Just put your name there, and you come, and the church will take care of it, okay? We have a budget for that, and we will make provision for that, okay? No one that you think that you should take this test, no one should be, telling yourself, no, I will not. Don't be ashamed. It's your opportunity. You don't have to to drive and travel to Illinois. That's why he's here. Okay.
Yeah, I want to say the test typically we charge $200, but he's told me that you guys are subsidizing some of it. So I think I created a coupon code to really lower it down to a minimum. But here's what typically happens, okay? I just want to tell you our stories because we've been doing this for many years. We go to a place and people are like, I don't know, what to do. I don't know what to expect. And then they go through the experience themselves and they're like, okay, they start calling everybody in their family to come and do the test. And it just happens and it goes on and on and on and on. And then we're leaving and now at the end, everybody wants to do the test and we're just like, we're just leaving. We can't do that. And it's typically what happens, and then say, well, we'll probably come back, but we're so busy. We're typically so busy that it's hard to just do this again. So, we had a church not close to here, probably like an hour and a half from here, that they said, come and we have 100 people that are expecting you to see them.
Now?
Yeah, now, but
No.
we're
No.
here. And then, it just happens that it's just, we never have time for everybody. So we're making it, take it easy on us because it's just Lily and I, and I take my time, but she takes real good time to really get to you to say, okay, I understand what I need to do, and I'm going to walk this, and I'm going to try it out, and I'm going to give myself 2 weeks to try it out and see the results. So she takes the time, and so because of that, we just have 8 spots available per day. We're just giving that
8.
amount of time. So yeah.
8.
8. So
8.
we typically see 13, but we just don't want to do that here.
Yes.
We're just going to do 8 per day just to give the time that you need to kind of figure out where you need to work and improve, right?
Yes. So in Warkling, Tabitha, what's the name of the place that you guys stay up north to? The clinic? Wywood.
Oh.
And Wywood, I think it's around $8,000 at 2 weeks treatment there. $8,000. Okay. And Witch Pine, it's around $5,000. Okay, we help one of the members in another district to go there. She was dealing with the cancer. And their clinic is around $3,000, okay? And it's including everything, okay? So here you got this consultation and all the information. If you don't see the importance to being here, just being here today and throughout the week, you're not seeing my first, I got notes here about, if you can touch again, just the difference between evolutionary vision and the creationism vision about cancer, right? You see it when you go to treatment. They want to kill the cell, right? And that we need to eradicate. We need to take the cancer cells out of you. But what is the difference there?
So we're not trying to go against what the body is doing. We're actually taking away the causes for that cell to be there. So if the cell has a purpose, let's take the purpose. And what is the purpose? Well, you have to address it by looking at the real cause of the problem. So it's a different mindset. And I can tell you a lot of testimonies that we had on this. I have a friend of mine, she came to the clinic, she had cirrhosis in the liver. Her liver was not working anymore. Neuropathy, diabetes, all these things. She hated everything to do with change, right? But she needed to address her health. So she goes back home and she started doing everything to the T after she feels so much better. No neuropathy, she's walking better. She came with a cane and she's walking, she's doing all these things, so she's thriving. Then her mother got sick and she has to take care of her mother for a period of time. So she go back to her old lifestyle, and all the indications of what she had started again are starting coming back. I start talking to her, says, I'm going to go visit. Actually, I talked to her son and said, I'm going to visit you. And I visit her, and he says, fantastic, go encourage her. Well, she ended up going to the hospital for something really simple, and says, you know what, why don't you stay for the night, and we'll see you. That was a Friday. I was gonna visit her on Sunday. My friend texts me and says, "Yeah, mom just passed away. What happened?" I said, "How could it be? Just she was okay. It's just acidosis. Her organs started failing one after the other. Just they cannot sustain the metabolic waste." Now, if that lady had produced cancer, if the body had produced cancer, she probably would still be alive. I'm not saying she will be. She would probably. Why? Because the body would give her an opportunity to stop and say, "Okay, just make the changes, please. Do what you need to do." So that's what is going on, and this is so important to understand, because it's very empowering when you know what the reasons are and you can address them. If you can't, then it's a big problem. It's a big mystery, and the fear and it's overwhelming. Okay,
So, and when I was there listening to this, and you didn't use the dumpster knowledge today.
No.
The dumpster was for me was clarifying, because the cancer actually was doing is accumulating all this waste that shouldn't be there. So giving you space for the good stuff to move around your body. Right? So when you just take the dumpster away, you're not fixing the problem. You see, that's the whole point. A good student. I'm a good student.
Amazing, you're a good student.
Well, probably I'm not practicing very well, but yeah, the beer belly is still here.
It's a journey, man.
It is a journey.
It's never a straight line.
Yeah, there's a hand right here.
Yeah, I wish everybody was self-disciplined and would do exactly what they need to do. But let me tell you, that never happens. It's a journey. We go through periods of times, and we grow. Every day we grow. As long as we're moving forward, that's the important thing. So don't be too hard on yourself.
If not now, maybe after, can I get that protein graph that you had up
Yes.
this morning? I could take a picture of that, if you please. All right.
It will be a little charge for that, because it's a little bit. Yeah, the sun is down now. We can charge you, brother. Okay, so we're gonna pray now, but I don't want you to wait until the last minute. And now we're gonna ask Ramon. So if anybody give his permission, if you're gonna be here with him tomorrow or Monday, and you allow him to, I don't know how you do that, but you take one case and show to us like on Monday night or something. There's something that we can do about that, or I'm just getting ahead of myself here?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, so if anybody has like give a permission to say this is my blood, and you give a permission, so we can show up here how the your blood looks like, and if it's good, if it's not good, and then is it gonna be something that everybody can understand what we're talking about. And the other thing is, if you wait until the end, oh, I really need this, then it's not gonna have a lot of time. There were 8 people per day in a 7 days, that we have here, 6. So, yeah.
If we have everybody.
All right. Okay, John.
I had labs drawn 2 weeks ago. Have the results. Does that help you?
Yeah, that would be great if you have them and you can bring them. That's great too. We could add it. So what we do is there's 2 ways of looking at things. Life is in the blood. There's a lot of things that the blood tells you, right? And there is a quantitative test, which is the blood drawn that you got. You got numbers, and these numbers said, okay, this population that it's healthy looks like this and have these numbers. And that varies with age, even ethnic background. All that stuff varies, but it just creates a one swoop of saying, okay, this is the numbers. It's like a basketball team. You need 5 players in a basketball team, and if they draw your blood and they see 5 players, they say, okay, you're perfect. Everything is good. You're a healthy man. But if they see 4 players, they say, oh, no, you're not good. You're deficient. You need 1 more. Or if you have 7 players, it says it's too much. It's not good, right? So that's a good test. It'll show you what a typical healthy person will look like according to a lot of typical healthy people, right? Now, what we do is a little bit different. We look at those. We assume that you have 5 players in your team, but we're going to look at how the quality of those five players are. Is one with a busted knee, or one is the center is blind, or one doesn't have an arm? We're going to look at that data, which the numbers don't give you that data. It gives you that you have five players, and assumes that everything is okay. We're going to look deeper into that and see how those players are. Why would one be blind? Okay, one will be blind because in order for that to be blind, it needs this process not working, and it could be this lifestyle change that you could improve. Here you could do this, you do this, and it will get you a healthy one, and you'll see the difference. That's kind of what, in a nutshell. Yes. Or just asking questions? No, with a blood test. Yes. And we find it together because you see it yourself. I'm not giving you any runarounds of numbers because you see, when you come, I'm assuming that, we don't know anything about health. We're both at the same spot. We'll tell you how the body works. You see it for yourself, and you don't have any questions. It's right there. You can see it right there, and you can see, okay, yeah, it's not, sometimes you could get numbers, and if they don't have the H or the L, you have no idea what it means. So here you will understand what it means because you're seeing it yourself.
Okay, so for those that are in WhatsApp group, the link for scheduling the appointment is already in the WhatsApp group, okay? For those that are going to use the email, you're going to receive later, okay?
And I'm going to send you a coupon code.
And there's a coupon code?
So for the church, yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, we have to handle it right.
Yeah. So basically, and if you have the feeling, please, and let's get this thing out of the way. If you have a feeling this is about money, you're in the wrong place. Okay? Yeah, this is not about money at all. They are like a ministry that they have to sustain the ministry. If you go to their clinic, it's just a wonderful place. And that place to be open needs green pastures, dollars.
Let me say this way. Once you see what you're going to see, it's way worth it. And
yes.
The reason I know that is not because I'm trying to sell you anything.
No.
It's because of the response that we have. Like, people are coming back and say, oh my goodness, I have to tell everybody to come and see this.
Oh, yes.
It's amazing. And that's what typically happens because, you don't get that chance of really digging in by yourself with us to see how it looks and actually giving yourself an opportunity to heal. So yes.
Can you do couples at the same time?
Yes.
So just register for one spot?
Yeah, but we could. Yeah, one after the other. It's better because, we don't want to rush things.
Okay,
the good thing with couple is that, on my side, it's a little bit less time. But with Lily, when she just explains to you what exactly it's the same amount of time.
And the problem
so
is...
I explain once instead of twice.
And the problem is the wife usually gives some stress to the husband. I told you!
No, actually, it's a benefit because, people say, no, everything is good. But then the wife or the husband says, yeah, right, you do this. And gives me the good information.
Okay, so let's stand, please, and let's close with a word of prayer. We thank you, Ramon, again. This is the first day. If you didn't have the feeling, this is gonna be an awesome week. God is using him and his wife and the ministry to just to bring good news for people. This is not the end. Actually, we can live this life in a better way, using the energy that we need to get stuff done and be happy about it. Amen? Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for giving us the blessing of to have this body, which is very, very complex, very, very, a lot of functions going on. It's so perfect, everything in its place. Thank you so much. Even something that we think, oh, this is really bad, the cancer, for example, is actually a blessing in a certain way that is an alert for us to change and to have some change of habits in our lives. And we want to do that. And we can do that only with your power, the Holy Spirit in us, and or the miracle that we need, because sometimes it's so hard to change habits that we carry on throughout our lives. So we need divine power for that. Give us the blessing to go home today safely, and for those that are able to come tomorrow, Sunday, and through into every day of this week, help us to get as much as we can so we can help ourselves and help others. And we ask that in Jesus' name, amen. Amen. God bless you. You can say, to your neighbor now, happy Sabbath and have a wonderful week.